Hello everybody, Drifty here from Driftwood Gaming, and we're going to continue our Let's Make a Game episode number 6 for the Dungeons of Driftwood. Now this is being live streamed on twitch.tv/driftwoodgaming. Probably going to be a little under an hour. I know I was aiming for 1 hour for most of them. Some of them have ran over a bit, and I'm expecting some company in about an hour from now, so this might go for about an hour, but that's about it. So, what have we done off camera since episode 5? Well, originally I had designed this system for a skill learning system that calls on a common event here. Let's look at that real quick. And I showed this off in episode number 5. And this is what it looks like, and this is for, like 8 skills. So you can imagine by the time we have 200 to 300 skills, this is going to be extremely convoluted and not very usable. It's going to be too many menus, So I've decided to take one of my viewers' advice and adopt the skill learning system, which I've used before. I was trying to custom do it, but it's going to take a lot of extra work. And plus, Yanfly's layout for the skill learning system is really nice, so why not just use it, Save ourselves some time and have a better product in the end anyway. So in the skill learn system here, I have I don't think I've changed any of the default settings. The only thing that I've had to do was, apply note tags. So in our database under our skills, for the first tier, we've set them up to specify a learn cost. So I've just added this little note tag here, the learn cost, that's looking for these items. So I can show you guys that in game real quick. Also, we have new title art. And that is thanks to, what is this name? Sinistar. From his YouTube channel is Tassadin, Tassasin Interactive. Let me bring that up for you so you guys can see. This is him on YouTube. Check him out. He goes by Sinistar. But he did that amazing title art. And I'll show you the title art in a second. Actually, I'll show it to you right now since it's relevant. Let's look at that title art. Really, really amazing. Dungeons of Driftwood. I love it, man. I love it. Thank you again for that. Yes, definitely going to make the end credits with that. Yeah, much better than the one I designed. But let's see, I was going to show you the skill learn system. So originally I had said that we're going to have one actor only, and we are, in a way. Like, the survivor is going to be your main guy, and you'll be able to change your title, but we're going to have an avatar. Like, you're going to be able to select from maybe like 5 to 8 different avatars, and you'll be able to have one avatar. Now, whether I want them to be AI controlled or player controlled, I'm not sure yet. I'm leaning towards player controlled, but you're not going to be able to learn skills with the skill learning system for your avatars. You'll basically have to do certain quests, or I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but you're going to be able to upgrade your avatar, but it'll be a different way that you normally upgrade your main character. So we have our equip skill system that's going to let us equip skills, which we're definitely going to use that, because we're going to have a lot of skills, but you're not going to be able to equip them all, especially since your learn skills are going to give equip bonuses. So just by equipping the skills, you're going to have a bonus associated with that. So you can see here that in the skill learn system, this makes it so much easier than navigating through like 10 menus. This is more user friendly and just quality of life improvement from Yanfly. So I'll take that. We'll go ahead and go with this system, but it still requires the same items, except this time you can quickly see what items you need for which skill, and that works really nice. I like that, so we're gonna go with that. Also, the player can learn skills in the middle of a dungeon and stuff, so that'll be easier. So other things that I've changed, you can see our avatar right here, and you may notice that the graphics are bigger, like the weapon animation graphics are bigger than default. And this is a painful task that I've decided to go with because since I've enhanced the size of the sprite that we're using, it's also going to make all the weapons look funny because they're way small, you know, they're regular size. So I've had to go into Photoshop and increase the size of the weapons by 3 times. So I've taken the original, what is it called, resource that Yanfly provided, the dagger orange, and I've just created a new file and gave it an affix of underscore 300 for 300% size increase. And I've tried this at double size and 2.5, and 300% looks best. So we're gonna go with three times the size on the weapons. Haven't done them all yet, but I've started with the first 2 tiers that you know, we'll get to all of them as we get throughout adding more enemies and the chance to get those items and stuff. I've decided to go with like a loot bag instead of awarding like this enemy drops a sword, this enemy drops a blah blah blah. When you clear a level, you're gonna get an item like a bag of tier 1 weapons. And I think I called it box, bronze weapon box. So every you know, ore type will have its own name right there. So iron weapon box and mithril weapon box, etc. But all this item does is it's consumable. You use it from the menu. It calls on a common event, and that common event is running this script. This is just to let me know what tier we're on. So it's controlling a variable, and in this variable we're setting it to a random number, 1 to the number of possible drops. Since we have 9 weapon types currently, it's going to go from 1 to 9. That way the player is guaranteed at least 1 item. Well, they're guaranteed 1 item, period. Then we're going to show an animation. Then we're going to, I think I changed that. Let me look at that animation really quick. Did I create a custom one for that? No, I made one for skill learned. Okay. I'll probably make a custom animation for that right there. Then a conditional statement saying if that variable is 1, then we're going to add the weapon, a bronze dagger, and show the text you obtained a icon weapon 51, which is the bronze dagger. If we look right here, 51. And that's it for that conditional. If the variable rolled a 2, bronze sword, 3 is a katana, 4 is a staff, all the way down till you get to the spear on rolling a 9. And then it'll consume the item, and you get a random weapon. So is another way to do random things, random drops. Originally, I'd consider using Yanfly's enemy drops, which we're going to use anyway, but I was considering on the enemies just doing the random % chance here, but then there's a chance you get none, and then there's a chance you get multiple. This way, if I make it a guaranteed drop at the end of a certain battle, or if I just award the item at the end of an event, you know, at the end of the one of the levels, then you're guaranteed 1 weapon, and it'll be a random weapon. So it just seems to be more a better way to control it. So I kind of went with that. So I need to add some new enemies pretty soon. But before we add new enemies, I want to start designing the random dungeons. So they're not going to be anything super fancy. They're just I'm gonna have to make a lot of them, probably 100 maps. But they're going to be randomly generated. They might be edited a little bit, and we're going to use a common event to call in the event when the player goes down the dungeon. It's going to roll a random number and pick one of the maps, and then put the player in a specific location on that map, and then load random another script that chases the player at a slow pace, so they're sort of avoidable. All you have to do to clear the dungeon is going to be defeat the boss of the mini boss of that floor, but there's going to be 5 optional fights that you can choose to fight on the floor. Like I think I said this in episode 5, we're going to be using Yanfly's swap enemy plugin to basically call on this battle that'll pick one of the random enemies. So the troops you fight will be random, but it'll still be balanced because we're using another plugin from Yanfly, the enemy levels plugin, which is going to let us scale the enemies to the player's level within the range of -1 and 0. So if you're level 10, you're only going to fight a level 9 or a level 10 enemy, which seems to work out fine because then we can call on early monsters towards the end of the game, and then maybe have some way that they'll learn extra skills if they're above a certain level. I know there's a way to do that. I've done that before. We're not using job points in this, but we are using, like I said, the skill learn system. So that's been implemented. And the weapon animation plugin, really, really awesome one. So let's go ahead and look at the files real quick. IMG, and we've got a folder called weapons in here. You can download all of these from yanfly.mo, except for the ones that I've edited, which are the _300 ones. Like right here, the cane _300. You can see the dimensions for the original 288 by 64. All I've done is open it up in Photoshop and resize the image and multiplied the dimensions by 3. So then I've renamed it, or not renamed it, but created a new file with the name that has the original name with an affix of _300. So then I'm looking for that in the note tags of the weapon. So to do that, all you really have to do is put it in a note tag. Once you've got the plugin installed, you just got to go weapon image and then type the name of the weapon. You don't want to do .png or JPEG. You just want to exclude the extension, and that's it. Now the replace attack is for calling on a skill, which is from Yanfly's Weapon Unleash plugin. So if we look at the skill that it's calling on, it's down here. So whenever you're using any dagger, it's going to use this skill instead of the basic attack, but it's a copy-paste of the basic attack with a different formula, basically. So with daggers, your attack power is determined on your ATK. The damage is determined by attack power and agility, plus your dagger skill, minus the enemy's defense. One thing I wanted to make adjustments to are inside the spells. I figured, what's the point of giving the enemies any magic defense if all of our skills aren't even taking the magic defense into consideration? So I need to nerf them. I don't want to adjust their damage too much, but I want to accommodate for the enemy's magic defense. So we have to do a subtraction inside of all the damage formulas. So I'm going to do that now. B.mdf. And we might end up increasing the strength of these skills. But I figured it's okay that they start out weak, because since we're using variables, it's going to be, you're just going to get stronger with it. They're just going to be increased and increased and increased, and eventually they'll be overpowered. So I'm going to have to put an overhead cap on them, and I'm thinking about making a dynamic cap that scales to the level of the player. So depending on what level your character level is, it will affect the maximum level of the skills that you can level up. So you can't pour all your points into one skill, and that one will be OP. So we have to do some sort of checks and balances, but that's farther down the line. For right now, we're going to just add the enemy's magic defense and account for that in the damage formula. So unfortunately, a lot of making a game is repetition of a simple task. So once you've made your decision on how you want it to operate, you'll have to do multiple copies of the same, task, like resizing an image. Since I'm going to be using, let's see, over 100. I actually did the math. So here's all of the base weapon types: dagger, sword, beam blade, which is basically the katana. These are the names that the what do you call it? The image is actually referring to those as. Like usually, I mean, I'm using staff, but it's called cane. So these are the 9 types, and then these are the 13 colors that I've gone with. So of the images that I'm using, there's 117 of them. And so the base resolution is that, and I have to resize them all one at a time. So that's, that's hours of work right there. And it's a simple task, right? You're just resizing an image, but it's going to be a lot of repetition. So I'm taking it one tier at a time. I've done the first 2 tiers. I've also sent a message to Yanfly on his Patreon page, just making a simple request / comment about if we were to find some way to auto scale, auto resize the sprites with a simple note tag, that would save a lot of people a good amount of time. And that would be as simple as to design it, it's going to be complicated, I would imagine, but I'm sure Yanfly could figure it out if he wanted to do that. But it would just be like, I would imagine you would just go like weapon size, and then you could do like plus 50% or minus 50% to change the size of the weapon. These note tags don't exist yet, but I've kind of made a small request to see if Yanfly could make that happen. So I'll add them one tier at a time and resize them as I need, and then hopefully that'll be implemented. Even if I finish resizing them, I think people would like that feature who use different size sprites. And once he's got that code, he can sort of copy paste it and make another plugin out of it so that you can resize your actor sprites. I think it'd be a cool idea. So you can go to your actors and just put in a note tag here to resize sprite plus 50%, and it'll change the battler, or resize battler. That would make more sense. So resize battler, or whatever the syntax is, doesn't really matter. Whatever he decides to code it as, image battler plus 50%. It'll raise the size. I mean, like I said, this note tag doesn't exist, but that would be cool if it did, right? I mean, otherwise you're just gonna go into Photoshop, image size, bring up a calculator, do your multiplication, and make it work that way. Yeah, let's get back to the skills here. We have to account for enemies, magic, defense, and all of our player skills. Because I think I've already added it to the enemy skills. I'm gonna check in a minute once we get to it. But not for the cure. I mean, if we did minus b.defense, it would just reduce the power of our cure, so we're not going to do any subtraction on that. But I might make a variable that that is associated with the state. and I'll have to use the States Core that basically reduces healing. And it could, instead of I think there's an easier way to do that. I mean, I have enough variables for skills and stuff, so for now we're going to leave it like that. I definitely don't want to make things overly complicated. Enhancing, did I do this one for the enemy as well? Enhancing. Did not. Okay. So let's take this, scroll it on down. Not there, not there. I've kept them 300 apart, so let's see where this one's at. This is at 80, so let's go to 380, see if it's already being used. It's not. We'll put it there. Okay, enhancing spells, Mighty Guard. This doesn't need a learn cost because, once again, the skills past 300 are the enemy versions of all of these, of all the skills. But I'm pretty sure I'll have to change the state for, or add another state for the enemy, because let's look at that state really fast. Mighty Guard, oh no, it's not calling a common event or anything. It's basically just adding stats. So that's fine. It'll work as an enemy, on an enemy, if an enemy casts it. So it'll work fine. You don't have to really change that up at all. I think that's why I didn't put it under enemy skills, because it would be able to be used by an enemy in the same fashion as a player. But we'll keep it down here just because. But we need to give it a description too. So we'll go to states. And okay, agility plus 15%. And I think I've referenced agility as speed in the terms. I have. And so I guess our acronym for that will be, our abbreviation for that will be SPD. So we'll go back to skills. In Mighty Guard, we'll say SPD plus 15%, comma, attack speed plus 150. HP regeneration plus 10%. That's a really, really strong spell slash skill. And I don't have to do HP regeneration because I'm calling MP regeneration refresh and I'm calling TP regeneration regain. So if I just refer to them as regen, refresh, or regain, I can exclude the HP, MP, TP and save some more space. Regen plus 10%. Defense and magic defense plus 125%. I'm calling defense vitality since I'm using a variable for defense. Vitality plus 25%. And magic defense is willpower in this game, plus 25%. For 5 turns. And I think we're going to make Mighty Guard a self-cast. So scope the user. So, yeah, I think it's better that way. That's how it works in 11 too. You have to use diffusion on the blue mage to make it an AoE in order to target other players with it. MP cost, I'm going to give it a bump up in cost. It should cost 20 because it's so powerful. So let's copy this. Since we have 2 versions. And the only reason we have 2 versions, like I said, for this skill is organization. So that we know this is player skill and then the bottom is enemy skills. But they're exactly the same, so I could have gone without doing that. But I think what I'm going to do, since it's an enhancing spell, basically, I'm going to have the player version do some other bonus. I'm not sure what, maybe like just a base HP recover using the enhancing and healing variables. But I'm not sure how I want to do that yet, because it's already super strong. Yeah, let's figure it out. We'll have it do HP recover. And let me look at my list of where my variables are. Organization is really a key part of building a good good systems in RPGs and any game in general. Especially when you're referencing values that are stored in a location, you know. You want to reference the right location. So I'm going to be looking for healing and enhancing, or just straight enhancing. Healing is used in items, it's used in healing spell. We're just going to go with enhancing skill for this one. So that'd be variable 62. So we're going to say variable 62 times 10. That would give us... So it won't be based on our stats at all if we do this formula. You'll get HP based on your skill, your enhancing skill. Let's see, enhancing what, 62, yeah. Enfeebling is 63, okay. So for the player version, we can say restores HP based on enhancing skill. And let me see, 10 would only give 100. We need to make this stronger. Let's go with 25. So if we have, starting off, it's just going to give us 25. Let's check how strong our cure is. This is using our parameters to give us a bonus. Plus, it's using our healing. So I have to remember numbers. Our healing skill times 4. So yeah, that's plenty good. I'll even consider 20 because it already does so much more. It's not using parameters, so it's not going to be as high. I would imagine that's going to be the big factoring thing there. Because you're going to level up your character aside from your leveling up your skills. So every level, it's basically getting 10 plus whatever you put on that is going to be 14. So even 20 is pretty high. Let's just say 10 because it does so much other stuff. I mean, it just gives a little incentive to have more enhancing. It'll give you a little more healing. So it's not going to be like the spell that you use to cure yourself, but if you know you're going to take damage in the next few rounds, you're going to want that regeneration. So it's going to give you 50% of your life back. That's where it's all coming from. I'm going to have to nerf that. I know that for sure because it's just too strong. I'm going to do that right now, actually. Regen plus 5%. So we'll adjust this. We'll adjust this. Even though the player will never see this skill, just for clarity and organization. We'll go to states and adjust this HP regeneration to 5%. That way it restores 25% of your max HP over 5 turns. Yeah, that seems better because it does so much other stuff. I mean, we're using CTB, so you're going to get more rounds just by having that. It's giving you haste effectively, especially with the agility. And if you're spamming attack, you're going to go... I'm not sure how this works with CTB. I know I've messaged Yanfly about it, and he said it actually does something. But how that actually operates, I'm not 100%. Alright. Okay, we've got our skills situated a little bit better. Inside of the enemy skills, we don't need any note tags, and they also have different damage formulas. But inside the player skills, now we have what state it's adding if we're giving it an equip bonus to add a state. It's giving a stat bonus with the second note tag if we're having it equipped. And we're also giving it a learn cost. That way it's you can't just learn it for free. You have to find these creatures, kill them, get these items, and then use these items in the menu to learn the skill effectively, Mega Man style. You have to beat your enemies, to kill your enemies to absorb their power. I'm also considering that these items can be tradable instead of giving gold. You trade these items for gear. So you have to decide, yeah, there's this really cool frost lance, right? This frost spear. But you want to learn ice. Do you want the frost spear or do you want ice? You know, you'll have to keep fighting to get more essences. So there's more. That gives the player options. Do they need do they want this weapon or do they want a spell out of it? You know, like, oh, maybe I like using lightning, splash, heal, and mighty guard for my 4 skills. So I'm gonna trade these ice essences for a frost lance, or you get the idea. Which I actually like that a lot. And instead of making Ice 2 just cost more of these essence, I'm going to create a different enemy that uses this skill and drops a different item. So that Ice 1 and Ice 2 are 2 separate things, even though they're just different tiers of the same, with different animations and formulas and stuff. It would be better that way, because if I start ranking these up to 4, 5, and 6, it would be unrealistic to just farm 50 of, you know, the very basic sprites and get the max tier. Then it makes the other skills sort of obsolete, I would imagine. Of course, you want to save MP, and restoring MP is going to be something that's not very easily done in this game. Of course, you're going to get one free HP MP restore per level, which will be 5 basic battles and a mini boss. So at any time you can use that point, but then it disappears. And actually, since we're talking about that, let's get to start designing those maps. Alright, so let's create a new map here in this hub. And we're going to give it the dungeon tile set. And for the size, we're going to change this. I just want to look at what 40 by 25 looks like. Encounter steps, doesn't matter. We're not going to give any encounters, so I could have left that. Background music, all of that will be decided later on. I might even just put it in a common event so I don't have to specify in here. Because I'll have to make 100 or so maps, at least 50. So we'll just call this Dungeon 001. Display name. All the display names will be the same. But the dungeon, the actual name will have a sequence of numbers just so I can look at it on a list. It looks better on the list. So this will be we'll call it just regular dungeon, and then for the larger maps, we'll call it deep dungeon or something. And hopefully I can get some sort of lighting. I want to get like Tarax lighting, but I don't know if it works. It didn't work on... It worked great for Legend of Driftwood. I updated to 1.2, and then it didn't work anymore. So I even got the newest version, and it still just didn't operate the same. So we'll see what happens. Also, we've got this map now. Let's zoom out a little bit. And what we're going to do is right-click it and go to Generate Dungeon. And we can specify what we want it to look like. I'm going to just go ahead and go across the straight each one, and then I'll start varying them up. We do want to add margins, and I think wide passages look a lot better. Let's go with room at first. It's just going to give us one big room. We might want to just go ahead and generate a maze instead of a room. Yeah, I want to go with maze. And you could always do this multiple times on the same one to get different outcomes. I think if it was just a little bit bigger, I want these large margins. So what we're gonna do is increase the size a bit. Let's go with 50 by 32. Zoom out a bit more. That's closer. That's a little bit closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It needs to be a slightly bigger. Let's go with 60 by 38. Because the margins take up so much of the map, so... See, this looks a lot better. This gives sort of the complexity that I want. And it's not like the maze where you have one tile to walk down. It's kind of spacious because I want the player to be able to avoid encounters. So, you know, the enemies will chase the player, but at a very slow pace. So this is the perfect size. I like this. We have the large margins. It's not like a straight path, but it's sort of open so the player can go wherever they want. So we'll go with that. And inside of each dungeon, there needs to be some sort of detail. So we'll spend a little time on each dungeon, adding some detail, which isn't hard to do. You know, you just add a little bit of extra stuff. Lighting is going to be the biggest part that I want to add. So I imagine doing this about 100 times. I think 100 unique looking levels. And the thing about it is, they're all going to be somewhat similar. So the fact that I'm randomly deciding to add little images and stuff, it's just going to make it look better and customize it a bit more. Of course, when you add different things like this, especially if you're using a custom tile set, you want to test it to see if you could walk on tiles that you're not supposed to walk on. So we're going to do that super quick. For these items down here, I'll probably make them interactable, so I'll save these for events that you can like collect items out of. Same with all of these. And we should probably do some sort of puzzle element, like not complicated puzzle, but simple puzzle. So the player has to find the switch. They can't, like if they get spawned next to the mini boss, they'll, you know, they couldn't just kill the mini boss and go across. They have to dodge a few enemies or kill a few enemies to hit the switch to open up the gate to the mini boss. That makes the most sense. So let's do a little, we'll decide where we want the mini boss to be, and probably up here. I think that would be good. And then maybe start the player down here. So we'll go like this. Actually gonna delete that and make an event that's controlled with a switch. So let's go to the event layer. We'll go new event here. We'll select this one for the top, and then we'll do a new event page that has nothing on it, and the condition for this event page. Okay, so we'll have to make, I'm imagining 100 maps, 100 switches. Unless I do it by a JavaScript eval that controls a self switch of another event, which I could do. But I also want to reset all of the switches when you leave the room. So by making them global switches, it's going to be easier to manipulate in the long run. So let's specify, since we're using no switches yet, we'll just go, the first 100 switches are going to be the gate switches. So we'll call this Dungeon 001 Gate Switch. We don't have to say switch because it's a switch. Dungeon 001 Gate. Okay, so if that switch is on, then this image is going to be that image, and it'll let the player go across. So this one is actually going to have the priority of above characters. So this won't be the collision one, and this one won't matter too much. This is just for... Actually, if the player is coming on a different map from the top to the bottom, then it won't be a collision. It'll let the player stand right underneath it and then activate the other event that's going to be underneath it. So this is why I'm doing above characters on this one. And it doesn't need any contents whatsoever for this one. So we'll leave it just like that. That event is done. And I guess we can go gate, we'll go top gate 001. Alright, we're done with that. Let's create a new event underneath here. This will be the collision and event gate. So this one will go new event page that has the same thing. If Dungeon 001 gate switch is on, then it'll disappear. And we'll call this bottom gate 001. This one is going to be same level as characters. Priority same as characters, because it's going to stop the player from walking on top of it. And the action button for this, if you go up to it and you press a key, or you press the action button, it's going to say, this gate appears to be locked. It must be controlled. Okay, this gate appears to be locked, but there is no keyhole. It must be opened with a switch or lever. We'll go ahead and make it dim, middle. Boom. And now, where should we put the switch? We could start the player here and let the player go up through here, and they'll see the gate, but they won't be able to open it. So if we start the player here, and then we put the switch over here, since this one is closer, you would have to go farther for this one. So we could put the switch here, here, or here. Or anywhere we want, really. But you generally want to let the player have to go across the map one time to see the map. Otherwise, they can just go up here, hit the switch, go through, and then this whole other side of your map, what was the point of it, right? Well, you know, it could be like, oh, I want to kill all the monsters, so they go over here, kill all the monsters, then go back. So what we'll do is we'll put the switch over here. So we'll do a new event right here. So this one is, we'll do that on the move events. I kind of want to figure it out right now. Let's see. We look at people. So this is facing down, this is facing left, this is facing right, this is facing up. Why do I need to know that? Because we're going to make it animate. So we're going to go, it's going to be facing down from the beginning, so we're going to go move left, move right, move up. Let's go back to the switch. So move left, move right, move, well, okay, move left, move right. We don't need up because it'll get rid of that thing. Or we can say, oh, the handle broke off if we wanted to. But we'll just make it go move left, move right. So we're going to set a movement route for this event. And we're going to go turn left, not move. Actually, it'll freeze the game if you do move because it's a static object. It's not going to move. It's just going to lock up. You go turn left, turn right. But before that, let's prompt the player. Wait, in the long run, does the player really need an option to hit the switch? Yes, because if we make the boss able to move around and chase the player and engage the player upon contact, event touch or player touch, maybe the player is not here to kill the mini-boss. Maybe the player is here to farm shards for skills, and they don't want the boss to be chasing them around the dungeon, because at any point they could activate a crystal and warp back to the hub or the town or whatever. So we'll prompt the player with the option to release open the gate to release or get to the mini boss. So open the gate, we'll say operate the switch. Show choices, yes or no is fine. When they say yes, this is where we want the movement route. So cut this. When they say yes, we put that in there. The image moves, but we also want a sound effect to be played. That sounds good. And then after the move event, play another sound effect of like the door opening. I like that. We don't need to describe what it sounds like. We'll just make it sound like it. Okay. Let's do a wait, a simple, not too long, not even a second, like half a second. So we hear a sound effect, there's a move event, and then you hear the door open. I think that sounds a little bit better. No, when we say no, nothing can happen. We can do a move event here if we want to. We'll just keep it how it is. We don't actually need this page. But what we need to do is control a switch now. So now we're going to go control switch, turn on the dungeon gate 1. Okay, what we need to do is make a conditional. Let's see. We need to say, if the switch is off, show this. If the switch is on, show something else. So we need to, let's copy and paste this page. On this page, let's make it look like this. And once, this is for if the switch is on already. So if the switch is off, you know, if it's off, it's going to look like that. If the switch is on, it's going to look like that. And we're not going to be able to operate the switch again if it's already, you know. So there'll be no interaction. It'll just look like that if the switch is on. So at the end of the event, when we turn off that switch, it's going to restore this again. So when we randomly get thrown back in here the second time, the switch isn't already flipped. It's ready to go again. That's why we do global switches instead of self switches. It makes it easier to just turn off all the switches without any JavaScript. That looks right, but we need to test it. Okay, so let's start up here. Once again, lighting. I want to get some sort of lighting. Okay. Okay. Sounded cool. It didn't take very long. It didn't lock up the player, and now the gate is open. We're able to go in here and fight the mini boss. Okay, there's one more event we need to design inside this map. That works fine, or two more actually. So wherever we start the player, or wherever we're going to teleport them from this event, right? So when they say yes, we're going to transfer player to a random number. This will be a big script, and probably want to set this up after we have all of the dungeons made. Because what we're going to do is make a conditional statement here, conditional branch. Before that, we need to specify a variable to pick a map. So let's find a good spot for that. Doesn't matter, it's just I want to try to stay organized. Roulette whip, T1 weapon drop. Yeah, it'll be here. So this will be dungeon select. It's not like they're selecting one, but this is the variable that's going to control which one is selected. So if it's set to 1, we'll do this one. But before that, we need to control that variable. So we're going to control the dungeon select variable, setting it to a random number between 1 and the number of maps we want to have. So if it's 1, you know, if it rolls a 1, then what we're going to do is transfer player. And we're not going to handle the switch resetting in this this script. We're going to handle the switch resetting upon exiting the dungeon itself. So if you go into the dungeon number 1 and you teleport back to the hub, the script that the event that teleports you back to the hub or the town is going to reset those switches at that point. So we don't have one script or one event that has 100 control variables. You know, it's just one per each dungeon. It'll be better that way. So here's where we transfer player. We're going to transfer them to dungeon 1, and we select the location we want to put them. So I think if we put them up here, it would be good. And it would be a good idea to notate where I'm saying, where I'm selecting as the teleportation. So I don't have to keep referencing where I'm transferring the players. So we're going to have them face down, fade to black, it's fine. Okay, so we've transferred them to that location, and now in our memory we know exactly where it's at. But tomorrow, you're going to forget where did I transfer the player. So let's make a little note on the map itself, or a key, a marker, and we'll use one event or graphic for each dungeon. It'll be the same for each dungeon. So let's just create an event here. It's not going to have anything, it's just going to show an image beneath the player. So something like this right here. This is fine. Green or blue? Let's go with blue. I like green, but let's go with blue for this. Okay, so this is going to be below characters. It doesn't need any trigger. I mean, well, it has to have a trigger, but it doesn't need any content, so the trigger wouldn't matter unless it's an auto run. It'll freeze up the game, and parallel will just eat up resources running an empty event. So we'll just leave it action button. We don't even need to give this, well, we could just say warp in point. So now when we go back to this map and we're looking at it, we know exactly where we had in the future. We can look at it and say, you have 100 of these. You can go, oh, I've made my transfer event to put the player in this location. So I know when I get that random variable and this map is selected, it's going to put me here. Now there's one more event that we need to put on each map, and that's going to, or two more events actually. The one event to restore HP and MP to the player. That's one time usable. So you're going to enter the dungeon with full HP and MP, and you're also going to have an item somewhere in an event somewhere in the dungeon that's going to fully restore your HP and MP, and you want to put this somewhere in the middle of the dungeon where you think that the player wouldn't have to walk too far out of the way to get to. So I would imagine probably here or here. I actually like putting it right here. Let's put it right here. And we'll just go with something, you know, simple. We use blue for the warp in point. Let's use green for the restore point. Restore point. This is also going to be below characters, so the player can walk on top of it. And this will have its own switch as well, because we're going to have to make, no, we can, no, we have to do, can't really do self switch for the same reason. If we want to control 100 of these, it'd be easier to just use the editor to control the global switch instead of making a JavaScript eval for every 100 of these points, and there might even be more than 100 maps. So we'll go show the player when they walk onto it, they should play a sound effect. So we'll start with the sound effect. I like that one. And then we'll show the player, you may use this restore point one time only. Then it, one time, yeah. Do you want, let's see here. Map keeps playing. This soundtrack. Let's remove that one because I'm tired of him talking. Do you want to use this? Do you want to use the restore point? Okay, simple yes or no will do. When they say yes, we are going to... We could do a full restore, because if we make buffs that wear off, we can just... there's a plugin that Yanfly made to address that. So full recover all doesn't take off buffs in certain groups. So we can use recover all for right now. We'll recover all, and then what we'll do is we're going to control a switch. So we'll have a second switch. So 1 to 100 is going to be for... We'll do 120. Well, 100 is quite a few. We'll do it 1 to 100 for all of the dungeon gates, and we'll do 100 to 200 for 101 to 201 for well, let's see, 1 to 100 is 100, 101 to 200 is the second 100, and then okay, so let's go 220. And this kind of lines up evenly. I like how it's set up. So we'll go 100 for each switch is going to be the gate, and then 101 will be for the restore point. So we'll say dungeon 001 restore. Restore point. We'll just say recover. We'll turn that switch on. New event page. And if that switch is on, the dungeon 001 recover is on, this one will disappear. Wait a minute. If we make it so that we turn off the switch each time we exit a dungeon, we could use one switch for the restore point that controls all of the dungeons, because it turns off when we leave the dungeon. So when we go into the next dungeon, we could use the same switch. Yeah, that seems way better than using 200 switches for 2 events. I don't know what I was thinking. That's how we'll do it. So we could even put it right here. We'll call this one dungeon gate control, and then just 2 will be dungeon recover point. Yeah, that's just so much easier to do it that way. Dungeon recover point. If dungeon recover point is on, there'll be nothing here. Or we can have it show like a shadow of where the restore point was. That doesn't have any interaction. It'll look like that. And it doesn't, it's below character, but it doesn't do anything. When they say no, we'll have it do a move event. It's fine. And actually, we don't want the trigger to be action button. We'll do player touch. So as soon as they walk on it, it plays a sound effect and asks them if they want to use it. And if they say no, then we can have them walk up. Just say move up. They say yeah, it controls not this switch, it controls the dungeon recover point. Turns that one on. And once again, when we exit the dungeon, we're going to turn off those 2 switches. So that when they enter the next dungeon, the gates will be closed and the recover points will be restored, will be there. Okay, that looks right. We do need to test it. And in order, well, we know recover all is going to work fine, so we'll just test the event. We do need another event though. We need to have our warp out point unless I make that a common event that we call from the main menu or from button common events, and I think we're gonna do that. So let's do that real quick. But that'll let the player, if we do that, that'll let the player teleport to that point from anywhere in the game. I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, I don't want to let the player teleport from any point in the game. That could cause problems down the line. So instead of making that from the menu, we'll create this as the event that controls that. So this is, yeah, it's got to be below. And when the player touches this event, I wonder if it'll run as soon as we get teleported to it. I don't think it'll run on a transfer event, but we'll test that. So the player would have to be transferred and then walk down or up and then back onto it for it to trigger. But let's test that out real quick. So let's make the event that shows text, and it says return to or exit the dungeon. Yes or no. If they say yes, then we're going to we need to control switches. So we're going to control switch. We're going to turn off the gate, dungeon gate control. We're going to control switches, and we're going to turn off the dungeon recover point. So the next time you enter, those will be off, and you can restore yourself, and you have to open the gate manually again in each dungeon you enter. Then we're going to transfer the player to the hub. We'll put him there, and we'll have him facing left. But we should also play a sound effect. From as soon as you walk onto it, we'll play a sound effect. Magic 4, we're going to use that for when they say yes. We're going to cut that. So we're going to paste that. Actually, we'll do an animation. So we'll play that there. It sounds like it already happened. So let's cut this. When they say yes, we'll paste that. And then play an animation. So as soon as they walk onto it, it'll just do a small little something. No. No. That's fine. And then at the end, before the transfer player, actually right here before the switch controls, show animation. On the player, the animation we're going to select is star. Let's see what that looks like. Wait for completion. I want to look at that real quick without opening the game. We'll just go to animations, go down to Yanfly's animations, star 1. What does this one look like? No. I think star 1 is fine. Okay. Alright, let's go back to the hub and set our starting point right here. Also, I was testing out some events on this map, and I moved my initialization event. Remember, when you're using variables in your damage formulas, you need to set them all to a number. You need to initialize them all at the beginning of the game. So auto run event that controls all your variables, self switch A on, never need to run this again, just at the very beginning of the game. Otherwise everything's going to do 0 damage, and you're going to have to scratch your head as why. Like, why is nothing working? So we're going to cut this, We're going to put this on the hub because this is now where we're starting. I don't think we're going to get into any battles, but I still want to have that there just as an initialization process. And we need to change the random variable number because we're selecting 1 to 100 because we're going to have 100 maps. But right now we only have one map, so it's going to guarantee roll a 1 so that it does this conditional statement, and then it's going to transfer us. Let's test it all out and see what it looks like. This episode will give you guys a good idea of as to how I'm going to do the maps basically. We say no, move event, nothing happens. When we say yes, transfers us. And you see it didn't run the event from the beginning. But if we walk on and exit the dungeon, no, nothing happens. We walk on, exit the dungeon, yes. We go back. I want some sort of animation. And instead of a staircase, okay, we made that a blank event with the staircase as the. That's fine. We'll just get rid of that. No, that's not what I wanted to do. We'll go ahead and just select that. There we go. And in that location, we can just color the event, give the event any icon we want it to be. I kind of want it to be like, since we're teleporting, and it seems like it's sort of like a teleport thing. We didn't walk down the stairs, we ended on a telepoint, right? So we teleported. So we're gonna give this an image that looks similar to like the telepoint thing. So we'll just go like, actually I like this. This is good. And what we can do with this is make it stepping. And animate it. Same as characters. I think it'll let us walk over this. It might be a collision. It'll be a collision. We have to do below characters. Okay. So we'll do below characters. And then we also want to use that same animation. I think it was star 1. We'll copy this. Alright, let's see how it works now. You see how it's animating? We can control how fast and slow it goes too. To control how fast and slow it goes, all you have to do is change the speed and the frequency. Let's make it go super fast and see what it looks like. Highest frequency and 4x speed. Yeah, that looks better. We'll just go with that. Let's venture deeper. That's much better. Simple little thing like show animation and sound effect, and it looks cooler. It needs lighting so bad. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'll probably have to just do show picture and something like that. And you see how it died out? It lost its power there. Actually, we can get rid of the flashy green. Let's change that very quickly. So it makes sense when it's like alive or it's there, it looks like that, but then it looks funny when it's like this. So what we can do is change that to like the green circle, just without any like It's like there's like runes on the ground, but no power is emanating from it. Like this. We'll just make it look like that. But then that kind of leads me to want to make this look different too. Makes me want to put this as the flashing blue one. To illustrate that there's, you know, power. We need to animate this one too. Did that not like... Yeah, let's fix this. We're gonna make that stepping, giving an animation. Also, when we do the restore all, we're gonna play some sound effect and show animation. Can't remember what that one looks like, but we'll figure it out. Change it if it doesn't look like I want it to. Oh, that's perfect. Love it. Boom, you fight the boss, the mini boss here. Now all we gotta do is add the enemy events that they move around really slow, like they'll go one and then they'll wait and they'll walk one step towards the player, and as you're walking around really fast they walk one step so you can easily dodge the enemies, and I want it to be that way. If you just want to spam through and you know you're just grinding mini bosses for something, or if you want to kill them all for what they drop, you know. So they're gonna be like different ways that you can kind of play, but it's still battle oriented. It's going to be mostly done in the combat system, but you can get an idea of what we're trying to make right here. Holy crap, we're at an hour 21. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a special request, leave it in the comments below. Remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content and you would like to see more. Thank you for coming to the live stream, twitch.tv/Driftwood Gaming. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's twitter.com/Driftwood Gaming. Driftwood Gaming everywhere. So thank you guys so much for watching once again. We'll see you in the next episode of Let's Make a Game.